this is actually keeping the aircraft operating below 100 knots for a slow speed 360-degree turn. Why is he doing this? Well, because he can, unlike any of the other aircraft here, fixed-wing aircraft. So demonstrating the very low-speed flying of the Harrier, also fast flying as well. It's got a supersonic, but around 600 miles an hour. Showing us the and this version has a much larger wing section than the previous. Now undercarriage and flaps are down, and he's coming in for a rolling vertical landing. Look at that steep approach. This was a Hercules. We'd be saying he's demonstrating the caisson approach, where they used to come in at high level until over the perimeter of the airfield, avoid small arms fire, then drop down to the initial spots within the safe boundaries.
Good test of the landing gear every time.
They are just kissing the tarmac there. I should hope that the idea here up landing. Undercarriage and flaps up.
You can't quite afford.
Now here's a good photo pass. Look at that. As Chris shows us the upper side of the aircraft. 100 feet, 500.
Now it's much more stable.
October the 21st. 1960. That first flight was to the magnificent height of 12 inches.
Quite high enough, I think.
And that was the chief test pilot, Bill Bedford, who did that. And he actually did it with his ankle in a plaster, having been involved in a car accident a few days before. But he didn't want to delay the program and didn't want anybody else to have the opportunity of taking the first vertical flight.
It's like Chuck Yeager breaking the cylinder.
Yes, that's right. Now Mike is showing us the hovering capabilities. superb display. And what a superb aircraft, brilliantly flown by Flight Lieutenant Chris Margiotta in his second season as the Harrier display pilot. He's been in the RAF for 12 years and is an instructor on the Harrier. He's got more than 1,100 hours on the Harrier and has flown operational missions over Bosnia, Kosovo, injected into the engine to cool it down and help it to develop more thrust when operating at maximum revs. Now, the Air Atlantique DC-6 taxiing out. He'll be displaying after the next item, which I saw taxi out earlier on. That's the Fieseler Storch, the German reconnaissance aircraft, which we should be seeing taking off, maybe even from the grass, while the DC-6 backtracked. But the DC-6 that was a beautiful display, seeing the way that the crew were throwing it around the sky yesterday. Wasn't that superb?
Absolutely incredible. The aircraft that we'll actually see fly today is the Fieseler Storch design, but it is called the Criquet, which is the French variant and powered by a radial engine instead of the standard Argus inverted V8 motor that powered the original. Good power, weight ratio, capability, extremely slowly. It doesn't phase very quickly. Perhaps 75 knots, actually, I should think. But you can see that very wide, very long gear that gives it the capability of getting into unprepared fields so that it cannot. They've got a lot of good technology. You can feel the vibrations right through your bones as those four great Pratt & Whitney engines roar that airplane up into the sky. I'm very glad. And there's his high-speed downwind pass, ladies and gentlemen. He's now accelerated past perhaps 85 knots, maybe approaching 90 in terms of airspeed, not ground speed, not airspeed. And
particularly in the Far East. Is the chief pilot of the Air Atlantique historic flight, and he also flies the DC-3, the Metro, and the ATR-42. And I think this is such a pretty display, seeing such a big aeroplane being manoeuvred at low level like this. At the underside there, it almost looks as if it's in its D-Day invasion markings, with the black and white stripes that we can see on some of the Spitfires out on the operational readiness platform. Powered by four Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines, which give the aircraft a total thrust of 10,000 horsepower and allow it to have a maximum payload of just over 13 tons and an endurance of 18 hours. The DC-6 was developed after the war, first flew February 1946. Take that undercarriage down now. So, built in 1958, that makes it 46 years old. And I think the combined ages of the crew are probably less than twice the age of the aircraft. Now that's a very slow turn. It's 31, but has more than 4,000 hours flying. If if any of you were here hoping to see a constellation, we were in the same position up until the Sea Vixen performing here today. That's at 2:52. Compression work from Harvest Air with the Dakotas flying oil mop-up operations in the North Sea area. And by 1986, Air Atlantique had a large fleet of DC-3s with a single DC-6. You can see the very appropriate registration there, 6C. GSIXC, because this is a DC-6 LC. Air Atlantique's historic flight division began in the 1990s and restores and flies old types like the Scottish Twin Pioneer. And Air Atlantique's flight now actually on rather than a year ago.
Yeah, no.
You know, in the old days, I did some growing up in the Middle East, and it was considered bad form to go home until you'd seen the aircraft actually depart the area. I mean, fly away and no longer visible. And you got out there early and waited for it to come in, because there was a lot of, scheduling was pretty tight in those days. I mean, not nearly as precise as it is today. But what a wonderful demonstration today by this aircraft, and if you look at it carefully, look at the door as the airplane goes by, and